And here we are to the video regarding installation of the arrowhead client library, which also provides a little bit of information regarding other nuisances for the installing of the core systems and so on and so forth. In particular, I will describe all the steps I need to install the core services, the client library, and the system examples on a new Ubuntu running on a VMware virtual machine. As you see, it's the first time I execute this virtual machine. So the first step will be a step that will take some time, and which is the installing of the new versions of the packages. So let's open a terminal. Let's do the usual apt-get update. And after that, I will install a few packages that I need to survive when I want to install arrowhead or anything like that. And I will do the general upgrade of the distribution. So here's the packages I want to install. The tools, which means ipconfig, then the Git, MySQL Server, and Maven. As you can see, it will take a little bit of space and also time. After it, I will do the general upgrade of the whole system. It will take 5 more minutes, and probably we'll cut some of those parts from the video. Okay, here we are. Now, let's do an upgrade of the system. And it will take some time. Okay, here we are. So now it's time of adding the terminal to the favorites, since I use that a lot, and configuring the static IP address. Now, why am I doing this step? In general, arrowhead has got core services. Since they are services, they are providing services somewhere. I prefer that the IP address where they bind to and where they are findable doesn't change between the executions of the virtual machine. So, as you can see here, I'm using the usual 192.168 and then 115.3 as the IP address. In firmware, it's an IP address that is not managed by the DHCP. I'm using everything else is quite normal. The gate will be 115.2, which is the host, and the DNS will be the same, 15.2, the host. Okay, apply, and now we can reboot the virtual machine. We are. Next step, configuring MySQL. Sometimes the ODBC is not very happy with having the default time zone in MySQL, since it says that the PDT time zone, that is the default one, is not certain enough regarding the time that we must use while interacting with the server. So I will change the time zone in the configuration of the server, in particular interacting with this particular file that you are seeing on the video. And here I will add a default time zone that is 0 GMT, because any time zone is good except the generic one. Now, by default, I'm not sure why, but the MySQL server gets installed with a password that I don't know. So I want to change it to root. So the root password of MySQL must be root. So what I do, I execute the MySQL server by skipping the grant tables to get inside the system, and guess what? Change the grant table. What I'm doing is to changing the row with the root user such that its password is root. Why? Because later we will need it to be able to create the arrowhead user in the database. So I'm restarting the MySQL server and we're done. Okay, until now it was the general configuration of the Linux system. Let's now get to what we like, that is arrowhead. Let's now clone the repository from GitHub. Let's get inside the folder we are downloading, which is the folder with the core systems. Let's switch to the feature common branch, since we need it, because it's a dependency for the client library. And let's do the moving package. It will take some time. And here we are. Finally, we can install using the Debian package the packages we built. So all the packages created in the target subdirectory of the core Java directory. We'll see now that we have to configure them in a particular way. Okay, here I have to decide between having a detached local cloud or a local cloud that is integrated into the main arrowhead local cloud. Let's say detached. The name of the local cloud can be test cloud, which is the default. Now the operator will be arrowhead. The company arrowhead. The country EU. Now the password for certificates and store can be random. We don't care about it. The password for the arrowhead user of MySQL will be arrowhead. And we are set. In a minute or less, it will ask for the password of the root user. It's root. It's used to connect to the server, to the database server, and add the arrowhead user to the server itself. The arrowhead user will be the user that owns all the databases related to the arrowhead system of systems. In particular, it's the guy that controls the service registry SQL system. As you know, in the future, arrowhead probably will have a service registry based on the DNSSD. Currently, it's using a service registry based on MySQL or SQL in general. So at this moment, what we are doing is enabling arrowhead with all it needs to make the service registry work. Okay, now why did we put fixed static IP address? Because this way we can bind on a fixed interface instead of having to change the information every time we execute arrowhead, or instead of using 127.0.0.1 as the interface. So we are binding all the systems and services that are core on the static IP address that we configured. I'm not adding the public available arrowhead blockers, but you could. Now it's compiling and it's installing everything. And finally, we can switch to the next big thing, the installation of the client library. First of all, we will clone the library from GitHub. We'll get into the folder of the library and we'll switch to the branch feature refactored plus common. Common is the common library. Now we do the Maven package to build everything. It will take some time, not too much, but some time. And then we'll do a Maven install to install locally the Maven packages that we'll need for the last part of the exercise, which is the compilation execution of the system of systems examples. So it's compiling everything. Nice. Now we do the Maven install. Beautiful. Now let's install the code that we compiled. Done. And now let's get to the hardest part of the exercise, since it's the part where actually we are interacting with how the system works. I will explain why. Okay, first of all, let's download the system examples and let's check out the branch feature refactored. Maybe after going into the right folder. Nice. Now, since now we want to see what we are doing, let's create two other subterminals. One of them will show the journal for the user client demo consumer. The other one will show the journal for the user client demo provider. Let's get back to our very nice SOS example GitHub clone. What I will do now is changing a bit of information that I don't like in the current distribution of what we have. What I mean, in this moment, we are using the port 443 for the arrowhead consumer. I don't like it much, so I'm changing that to 8443. Why? Because it's a very low port, it smells like SSL. I prefer that we change it. Now, the configuration is created automatically whenever you do the package, the Debian install process of the consumer and the producer of the services. In this particular case, you have to interact with the client demo consumer, and so we change this line to 8. As you see here, what happens whenever you install an arrowhead system, it creates its own temporary file, which is not temporary, and which is the configuration. Now, after changing the port to 8443, we can do the method package. We can compile everything from the system examples. As you can see here, nothing is happening on the journal. Journal control is the command to see the logs from a program that is used to control the systems, the servers of Linux. The program is called systemd. A lot of people don't like it, but arrowhead likes it because it eases the deployment of our system. So we did what we had to do. We compiled everything. What happens now? First of all, we're going to do the package install of the client demo producer, the provider. Okay, after installing the dependencies, so the demo common, then the demo provider, and now we can see that something happened here, something good. As you can see, the journal for the demo provider, the client provider, is quite active and happy. Now, let's install the client. It will be a failure, as you will see, but it's an intermediate step for success. You can see here that it will not work. Why? Because the client is not authorized in the arrowhead system. You see now, boom, exception. Let's see what happened. Well, this guy, the client, tried to get inside the system. Then he provided its own credential, and we didn't like it because in arrowhead, if provider registers to the service registry, it's fine. You are happy. He's providing more services. He's not doing any problems. You're just there waiting for people to contact it. If a client wants to consume a service, it must exist in the system table of arrowhead, and it also needs to be authorized to consume the service. So what I'm doing now, I'm looking for our guy. Oh, it's this guy, 8443, client demo consumer. Okay, nice. I highlighted its own password. In particular, it's the base64 encoding what is public key, and now I will get into the arrowhead database, and I will add into the arrowhead system table a row for this guy. Why? I will tell you why. So MySQL client user arrowhead with password arrowhead, use arrowhead. Now select star from a particular table. Okay, first of all, let's show the tables. Select everything from arrowhead system. You can see here the client demo provider with this format for each row. Let's ask to the MySQL to describe this particular table. So describe system arrowhead system. Here it is. What happens now? We do the insert of a row to have a fixed ID, the first field we see here, for the consumer. I copied and pasted the key. I put a new ID, which is not in use, for the consumer, and I put also here its IP address, its port, and its name. Then let's say that we also want to authorize this system to consume a service from the producer. The producer is the system number 28. The consumer is 29. Let's select from arrowhead service, and we find out that the temperature, which is the service that I want to consume from the producer, has got ID number 27. Well, this is interesting. Let's see the description of the intra-cloud authorization table, which is the one used by the authorization system to decide who can consume services. And let's add a line saying rule ID 1, whatever. Consumer number 29 can consume from system 28 the service 27. Done. And now what happens? We get back to the terminal where we're installing everything. We do the apt-get remove of the client demo consumer, and then we install it. Why? Because this way it's able to relog into the system. As you can see here, it raised an exception last time. So sudo the package minus install target client demo consumer. Let's see what happens. Okay, it registered. It's queried for the service from the provider. It's using security. And now what happens? It's dumping on the journal of systemd some information. The information regarding temperature it receives from the service provider. So we were able, as you can see, to create a secret channel where we have a token passed over the URL between the provider and consumer of the service to exchange some information. Which information? The temperature. Okay, some kind of fake temperature in some fake room. So you saw how to install everything. In particular, you saw the step where we install failing a service consumer. Then we get into the journal control, the journal of the system that was installed but didn't work. We found out the base64 encoding on its credential and use that to create a row into the arrowhead database for the systems, so that the system actually exists in arrowhead, and you can add through the authorizator a line in the database saying that that system can consume a service from a particular producer. So I thank you all for the attention, and see you next time.